everyone, it's Rena. I have a new project for you today. And the first project, there are actually two. The first one is inspired by May May Made It. It is an exploding envelope that she made maybe 2 years ago or so. And so for that project, I actually was in a swap where I had to send 3x3 note cards to my swap partner. And I thought it would be a really cute way to send my 3x3 note card. So I kind of turned it into a flip book of sorts. And then I decided I wanted to make one as a mini album, but I want it to be a little bit larger because I was sending it to my niece for her birthday, for her memory gift. And I will do a project share once I've added all the pictures as well. So there are two projects to today's video. I hope that you'll try them, and if you do, I would love to see your pictures. If you're in my VIP group, I'd love to see them there, and if you're not in my VIP group, I will add the link so that you can join if you'd like to. Lastly, I want to thank everybody who applied to be part of my design team. I'm really excited by the entries that I've received, and I will be posting a video on Tuesday to let you know who was selected. So let's get to the project. Okay, so this is the exploding envelope that I made. I did make it for a Facebook group swap. And so for the swap, we needed to make 7 mini note cards with envelopes. So I decided I would use this exploding envelope. So I closed it with a ribbon belly band, and it just has a little 2 on here. And then it opens just like this. So it's actually made out of 3 envelopes, and I added little tiny belly bands. See right here, I added little tiny belly bands so that I could add in my mini note cards. So there's my envelope. This one I did layer, and I made it pretty dimensional, so I just slid in the back of the card in here, and then I added a couple of little embellishments everywhere. So this middle envelope is larger than these outside two, and I used my envelope punch board to make all of the envelopes. So we are going to be making this exact exploding envelope, as well as I have an additional exploding envelope to add some flaps and different things like that as well. And so when you close it up, you would just close up the sides and put them in. And I did make these pretty chunky and dimensional, so it's pretty full. You can see right there. Let me see if you can see. It's pretty fat. And then these close. Now you could definitely add magnets here. I actually do have a magnet here, but because I made it so chunky, it's not strong enough. So you'd probably have to put, 2 or 3 magnets here, and that's why I decided to go ahead and use a belly band. And then the back is it just folds up like a regular envelope. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I did use my envelope punch board to make my envelopes. I'm going to show you how to make one envelope on the envelope punch board if you haven't made one before. So basically you have your card sizes on this side, your paper size, and your score line. So depending on what size of card you're going to make will determine how big your paper needs to be. So for this project you need one envelope that's larger than the other 2. So you can choose whatever size you want to choose. In this case, I went with the largest, which is the 6 by 8.5. And so my paper size is 11.5 by 11.5. But if you wanted to, let's say, go with the 6 by 6, then your paper size would be 9.5 by 9.5. So whatever size you want to choose is up to you. The only thing that you'll have to do is go one size down for the next 2 envelopes you'll need. So you'll need one envelope that's larger, and then that's 2 that are a little bit smaller. So my largest, like I said, is the 11.5 by 11.5, and then my next 2 are 11 by 11. Okay, so what I have here is an 11 by 11 size piece of paper, which I'm using the 6 by 8 card size measurement. and it says that I need to score at the 4 7/8 mark. So all I do is I insert my paper into the envelope punch board, I line it up to 4 7/8, I punch, and then I use my scoring tool to make the line. And sometimes it doesn't go all the way because your paper hangs off. There is another one that does have an extender arm. You can get that one if you'd like. And then you just basically go all the way around. And I started going fast and I didn't even tell you what I did. So I was right here. I made my score line, and then I rotated it and I lined up this little tiny green marker with the score line that I just made. Then I punched and I made another score line. Then you rotate it again, line it up with the next score line, punch, and make your next score line. Rotate it, line it up with that score line, punch, oops, and then make your next score line. And that's pretty much it. Now, the envelope punch board does have this little section in the back that if you want to round your edges, you can just go ahead and insert your corner and it'll round it for you. But that's pretty much it. And then you just fold on your score lines and burnish down. But then you pretty much have your envelope. So this would be your envelope. So if you wanted to make a card, you could easily make your own envelopes with the envelope punch board. For the purpose of this tutorial, we're not going to be sealing any of our sides down like this to make envelopes. We're going to be making the exploding envelope. So I already have the rest of my envelopes ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and move on to putting the actual exploding envelope together. If you have not made your envelopes yet, you'll go ahead and pause here and make all of your envelopes. So you'll need one large envelope and then two that are slightly smaller to make this first project. The second project, you're going to need one large envelope, two that are slightly smaller, and then two more that are slightly smaller than that one. So in my case, I did one that was the 11.5 by 11.5, two that were 11 by 11, and then two more that were 10 3/4 by 10 3/4. But again, you can choose whatever sizes you want to. If you want to just make the first project, the one that I showed at the beginning, then you only need 3 envelopes. The second part of the project is going to require 5 envelopes. Okay, so let's go ahead and put these together. So here's my largest envelope, and then trying to make sure I have the right envelopes in the right order. Okay, here's my largest envelope. And then I have these two that are a tiny bit smaller. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our large envelope, and then we're going to open up one of our second envelopes. Okay? And we are going to attach our envelopes together like this. They're going to overlap over each other. So this flap is going to adhere to this large envelope, and this flap is going to adhere to this envelope. That's how we're going to attach it. Then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. You're going to open up your second envelope. You're going to add adhesive right here, and this piece will attach here, and this piece will attach here. So let me go ahead and add my adhesive. So I'm going to be using score tape. And I'm going to add my adhesive right here. So this piece, again, is going to adhere right here. So I'm going to add adhesive on this flap also. So on the flaps that you're adhering, the ones that are adhering to the large envelope, you're going to add adhesive to the outside of those flaps. And for the large envelope that you're adhering the two smaller flaps to, you're going to adhere, or you're going to add the adhesive to the inside of those flaps. Okay, so now I have all of my adhesive on, and you can choose to add these on however works best for you. So if you want to line these up and then peel off your adhesive and then add this down and then flip this over and do the same here, however it works best for you. But I hope you can see now how I'm adhering. I'm adhering this envelope here to the larger envelope, okay? So I'm just going to line everything up. I'm going to make sure I don't go over that score line for that flap. And then I need to get my little tool. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and peel off the backing of my score tape. And before you put your flap over, just make sure everything's lined up really well and that you're not going over the score line with the base part, okay? And just adhere that down. And now you have these two flaps adhered, or these two envelopes adhered. So then just flip this part over, peel your score tape off on this side, and then just push that flap over, and now you have two of your envelopes adhered together. So then when you're closing them, you would just fold them like this, and then this one folds over just like that. And then of course you're going to want to burnish down right here so that you get a good fold. And now you're going to go ahead and do the same thing on this side. And make sure when you're lining up your packets, that your envelopes, that you're lining them up the same way. So mine are long this way, not this way. So I'm going to add my adhesive here and add my adhesive here, and then I'm going to go ahead and stick those pieces down. Okay, so I've actually gone ahead and attached my second envelope. So I did the exact same thing that I did on this side. I added adhesive right here, and then I added adhesive to this flap, and then I just stuck them together. So this is basically it for the project that I showed you for my where I sent off my my SWAT project that I kind of made into a flip book. So if you're going to close it, you would just close down these flaps like this, close down these flaps over here like this, and you can close it however you'd like. If you want this flap to be on the top, you can do that, or if you want it to be hidden underneath, however you want to close it is completely up to you. And then you just pick whichever side you want to go in first. So you have this one that goes in, and then you have this one that goes in, and then you have your envelope that closes just like that. And I have added magnets before. I need to burnish this down a little bit better. I have added magnets before right here and right here so that it will close. Depending on what you add on the inside will determine how many magnets you need. But what I think is really cool about this idea is that You can stop here or you can go a step further. It's completely up to you. So what I thought would be really cool, I have a niece who just had a birthday and I need to send her her memory gift. So what I thought would be really cool is to make this an even bigger album where I could send more memories of her from when she was first a baby to where she is now. So to add more space, because I wanted to make this a bit larger, since I was making it for my niece's memory gift for her birthday, all I did was I made 2 more envelopes that were smaller than this one. So this one was 11 by 11. So this size was 10 3/4 by 10 3/4. And then all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach them the exact same way that we attached this one to this one. I've already added my adhesive. I just need to add my adhesive here, but I'm just going to attach it right here. And this will give me another envelope where I can add another picture of her as well. Now, if you wanted to attach it down here, you totally could attach it down here also. And then you'll just have to make sure when you close it that you close this piece in. So then you could close your envelope up like this. So let me go ahead and attach my 2 additional envelopes. And then what I decided I wanted to do was, I thought it would be really cute since this is going to be the center of the entire little album, was to add like a little gatefold right here. So I created 2 little flaps and I'm going to put them right here in the center, and then that way they'll open up like this. And her most recent picture, I have a picture where she's wearing a cute little purple tutu. I'm going to put that right there in the center and it'll open up like that. So let me go ahead and add my last 2 envelopes, and then I'm also going to go ahead and add my gatefold flaps. And I did include these flaps in the measurements, so if you want to make your own, I'll go ahead and add these here too. And then I'm going to show you how to cut your triangles for your flaps. Okay, so let me go ahead and add those last 2 pieces and I'll be right back. And here is my completed longer version, or at least the base part's completed. So it looks just like an envelope. So then you open this one, and here were our first two envelopes that we added. And here in the center, I already added my 2 additional flaps. And then here's my first envelope I added. Opens up like this. And then I went ahead and I made that additional envelope, and it opens up just like this. And if you wanted to add a pocket here or a pocket here or flaps, you can do it just like we've done in the past with other cards where we've added flaps and pockets and additional things like that. You can add all that kind of cool stuff in here also. And then this side just kind of folds in, and then over here on this side I did the exact same thing. This was the first envelope we added, and then I added this next envelope over here. And again, it just all folds back in together. And then I decided that I wanted this side to go in first, and then I folded this side in, and then it folds closed. Now, because I added additional envelopes, I had to create kind of a gusset, but I didn't score it. I just went ahead and I closed my envelope, and then I just burnished over the tops of my envelopes. If you wanted to go ahead and score 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch of a score line right here, you definitely could, and that would create your gusset for you. It'd probably make it a little bit more crisp. Completely up to you. Okay, so now to decorate, I've included all of the square sizes in the dimensions, but to make these triangles, what you'll do is you'll actually cut a square, and I have one right here. You'll actually cut a square, and I've included the square sizes in there as well. This is a 6 by 6 inch square. Okay, so what you do is you'll take your square that you've cut for whichever size flap that you're going to be doing, and if you don't use the measurements that I provided you, if you make different size envelopes, the way that you measure this is you just take the flap of your envelope and you align your ruler up here to the top, and you go all the way down. So this one would be 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. this is where it goes all the way down to the bottom. But I like that kind of a little white edge around all of my projects. I like that border. So instead of doing 5 3/4, I'm going to do 5 1/2 by 5 1/2. Okay. So this one over here, this one was 6. So I did 6 by 6 on this one. So this is this one right here. So with the 6 by 6, all you would do is you would cut your square, and then you would take your paper trimmer, and we've done this before where we've aligned our points. So you're going to line this point and this point right on your paper trimmer line so that you cut right down the center. And then you have 2 squares, or 2 triangles, I'm sorry. And this will be how you decorate your flaps. So then this one would go right here. Now I chose to round all my edges. And the way I did that is I used my envelope punch board. And remember, in the back, you have this little reverse punch where you can round things. So all I did was I rounded like this. And then to round these corners, I just put my paper in on one side, and then I put it in on the other side, and that's it. So I stuck it in, I lined it up on one side, and then I just rotated over to the other side, and that gave me enough of a round edge that I wanted. Now, like right here, this one has kind of a little tiny point still to it, so I'll just stick it right back in there, and then it rounded it for me. And then all I would do is adhere it up here, just like this. And then of course you can, again, if you want to round your edges up here at the top, you can. It's completely up to you how you want to make your envelope. So I'm gonna put my designer paper on so you can see how it looks with the designer paper on. You have all the dimensions for the designer paper, and I will be right back. So here are the 2 different designs, and this one's staying closed because I did add a magnet on this one. This one is the one that I'm going to send to my niece, so I'm just going to add a ribbon belly band on it. But let's start with this one first. So this is the one with just the 3 envelopes. It opens up just like this. Then you have the 2 side envelopes, and they both open like this. And this is the exact exact type that I made for my flip book for my swap partner. And again, I added magnets here to keep it closed. So then this just folds down like this, and then they fold in. And then I have the magnetic closure right here. So that's the first one. And then this one is the one where I added the 2 additional envelopes. So it opens like this and like this, and then I added the little flaps in the center, and then this envelope opens up like this, and then you have these 2 flaps here, and then you have this entire envelope over here. Now if you don't like the flaps and you don't want the flaps, you could always just use your paper trimmer and cut the flaps off before you attached the envelope to the rest of the project, or you could just create a larger flap with your extra little a 1/2 inch that you'd burnish and then attach it that way, kind of like I did this flap over here. If you wanted to just add a flap that was this long, and you add your 1/2 inch and then attach it as a flap instead of an envelope, you can totally do that also. Completely up to you. I think that's the really cool thing about this style, is that you can continue to add as many envelopes as you want, or you can add pockets, or you can do whatever you can dream up is basically what you can do. So this one opens up just like this also. So it ends up being pretty long. So it's a total of 5 envelopes that I used, plus I used these little flaps on the inside. And so there's a ton of space in here for me to add pictures, and then I'm going to add little spots for journaling. So what I will do is I will come back with a finished project. I'm going to work really hard to make sure that I do a project share video so that you can see the finished project. that I'm going to send to my niece. So I hope that you'll give this project a try, either the first one where you only use 3 envelopes, or this one where you'll use 5 envelopes. And if you come up with something totally different, or you add the envelopes in a different way, I'd love to see your project. Thanks for stopping by.